Information about the world of running, inspiration to fuel passion and excellence, and ideas for making connections and finding community. You're listening to AtoZrunning. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving.
I'm Andy.
And Zach.
Thank you so much for joining us on the AtoZrunning podcast on this holiday.
And of course, if you're joining us on a day that isn't the day we're releasing it, but still, thank you for joining.
Thank you for joining us. And, you know, every day should be a day of Thanksgiving, right? So today we have something very unique for you. We have a story, a little story time with Zach Ripley. It's going to be highly entertaining, I'm sure.
Or at the very least, timely, because it's about Thanksgiving.
Before we get started, we're going to dive into the world of running.
From the world of running this week, well, not necessarily this week, but some recent things going on that definitely are interesting and worth following. The first I want to mention is the NCAA National Cross Country Championships. All three divisions were recent, and some great stories, some really fascinating results. And we talk about this all the time, where story, in any given event, and it doesn't matter what level, there's just so many different things happening, and so many stories that you just don't necessarily know or hear coming out of those kinds of things. So one of the things I personally love to do with something as big as a national championship type thing is I like to go on all the different schools' press releases on these things and see what they're saying about their athletes and teams, because there's always something fascinating that just gets missed at the national stage too. But a couple of things I want to highlight, and I'm going to link, by the way, the NCAA press release that includes all three divisions, and it's a great place where if you wanted to tinker around a little bit to find some of these interesting tidbits, that's the place to start probably. But a couple of things that stood out to me, the first one being in Division I men's cross-country results, the favorite, which were 2 or 3 time defending champions, Northern Arizona, fell to BYU, and that's unique because they were definitely a favorite, and BYU had a hard-fought race to take that title, so that was pretty exciting. But on the women's side in D1, the Arkansas women won the race to accomplish a feat that has only ever happened once before at the NCAA level for women, and that is they are now the calendar sweep national champions. And what that means is, in 2019, the Arkansas women won each of the major national championships. They won indoor track and field in 2019, outdoor track and field, and then now cross country. So they're the 2019 champions. That's really cool.
Winner, winner, turkey dinner.
That
It's Thanksgiving, get it?
I'm going to completely ignore it. So the other thing that I wanted to mention was in the Division II national championship for women, what appears to be, I don't know if they're twins, but they're both seniors, twin sisters, took second and third. From, I believe it was Adams State. I'm not looking right at it, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. So these sisters were second and third in the country.
That's crazy.
Not just that, but they actually finished together, within a tenth of each other. They crossed the line together. And I do kind of wonder, because the one in first place also happened to be from the same team, and she was a little bit younger than them. And I keep thinking, couldn't she have just let them go, hand in hand, 1-2 across the line? Wouldn't that have just been so cool? But, of course,
no one's going to relinquish
you're not going to just back down and she won by 30 seconds.
I want to know the details of that. I might message them, see if I can message them and find them, because I want to know, did they actually duke it out and come that close, or did they plan to run together? That's what I want to know.
It's a great question. I didn't find anything that said that in the press releases, but it'd be worth following up. It was really kind of an interesting, and that's a really exciting thing. And their team, by the way, scored 23 points to win the D2 championship, which is the lowest score ever in Division II. So, and that's hard to do in terms of cross country. That's nearly impossible. I think they had
you have
5
that are
in the
dominating.
top 9 places. Yeah. So it's really quite something. Very exciting
Good genetics
story.
there.
So many other things. Of course, we just want to mention, because we talked about Erica from Rockford High School. She's a freshman at University of Michigan now, and we mentioned her in the preview leading up to this, and she ended up finishing 25th overall as a freshman. That's really something. So an exciting career for her already in running, but certainly more to come, and we're excited to follow her career.
Absolutely. For those who haven't seen the announcement, the World Athletes of the Year were announced, and our very own American hurdler Delilah Muhammad was the female World Athlete of the Year, and Eliud Kipchoge, and we all know why that is, right?
Yeah, no surprise there.
Yes, he is amazing, and no matter what you think of that 2-hour marathon, he broke serious barriers, and not only that, he competed. Let's not forget that he's competed very well in the marathon distance.
Well, yeah, and his spree of unbeatenness at world marathon level, world marathon majors and international championships is untouchable. No one's ever done that before. So we would love to see, how far this goes. Like, how long is he going to do this? And it's exciting every time he wins another one.
So congrats to Delilah and Eliud. And I'd like to just briefly mention this. I'm not going to get into any opinions or anything, but Jordan Hasay has announced that her new coaching advisor is Paula Radcliffe. And for those of you who don't know Paula Radcliffe, she was the previous world record holder. In fact, she held it until this year.
And we did talk about that at the Chicago Marathon when Bridget Koske broke that long-standing marathon
16
world
years Radcliffe had that record. So now Jordan Hasay will be training under Paula Radcliffe in an advisory sort of situation. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Jordan Hasay's situation, she was trained by Alberto Salazar, and so that was disbanded, and she has found a new coach.
So most certainly, we know at the very least, she's in great company. And Jordan's gearing up now for the Olympic trials in the marathon in February as well, coming off a torn hamstring in the Chicago Marathon. So, she's one of the favorites when she's healthy and strong.
Second fastest American woman time over the marathon.
So we'll see how that progresses for her too. And of course, as you know, we'll be there. So we'll see how that finishes up.
Well, I won't see it. I'll be quite a few minutes behind.
Maybe.
Ha ha.
And now, for your listening pleasure, AtoZrunning presents a short story, Never Again, on Thanksgiving Day. Every great moment of feasting and play went terribly wrong last Thanksgiving Day. It began like most days with a yawn and 2 blinks and a groan for the clock and for the mirror a wink. With a race to be run, I had one thing to do, but to get out the door I first needed my shoe. I found it, of course, in a miserable heap, torn right to its soul, so I started to weep, as Klein, my black lab, simply lolled his tongue out, with traces of laces decorating his snout. Running late for the race, I debated what to do, for that dastardly Klein ate my last running shoe. Do I cancel the race, stay home, get some sleep, or do I overcome the obstacle, no matter how steep? You know me by now, so you know what I did. I donned the next pair of near-passable skids, the trusty and reliable, worn but still sound, best pair of footwear any 2-footer found. So on my way out the door in my most favorite socks, I stopped by the garage-only junk, fetching my Crocs. Needless to say, I was feeling quite grand with those Crocs on my feet at the starting command. I launched exuberantly into that turkey trot race full of confident swagger, a smug smile on my face. Barring catastrophe, you see, I was likely to win. I'd forgotten, it seems, the cardinal distance runner's sin. It was only a 5K, a manageable ride. It is only a 5K, I repeated and sighed, but not more than 1 mile into that infamous run, my feet informed me just how much Crocs are no fun. And they complained all the louder every step of the run. If you've never seen blisters with the girth of Fort Wayne, chances are you will not fully understand my pain. Sure, I finished that race like a hero returning, but I paid in sheer misery from that Croc friction burning. My only respite lay in the simple reality that the rest of the day I would enjoy seated cordiality, with family galore and food fit for a feast that I would devour 5 servings at least. Thus I entered my aunt's home with a wince and a hobble, and quite promptly found a chair as I started to wobble. But alas, to my dismay, the food wasn't quite ready, and they didn't want to hear it because they knew it already. So I'd patiently wait like the rest of the lot, and if I wanted to be useful, they'd find me a spot. As noon came and went, my belly reminded that after the race my pain had me blinded. So I'd eaten not a bite since my peanut butter baggles, and my hunger was mounting, a beast which no man haggles. But my aunt wouldn't hear it. She was true to her word, and gave me a ladle, and I sat and stirred. Though gravely mistaken was she, my dear aunt, to think cookies in reach could withstand hunger's rant. It truly wasn't my fault that so many disappeared. At such great risk was I of starvation, I feared. My aunt moved me to chopping, thinking that would suffice, knowing carrots and cucumbers were hardly my vice. But ravenous was I, even those were not safe. In between several chops I discreetly strafed. After not terribly long, I developed a groove, chopping and snacking with a quick, quiet move, until, lo and behold, given over to my crimes, I tragically mixed up the chop and snack times, lopping off a finger chunk the size of a dime. In retrospect thought, I should have seen that one coming. Since I was sitting while chopping, my feet painfully humming, I lacked all the proper leverage one desires for such, starting off, as it happens, not at all skilled much. Those thoughts rattled my noggin, sitting there in ER, as a happy distraction from the ER bazaar. You've no doubt been told how the holidays just might be the very busiest days for an emergency blight. I couldn't bring myself to imagine what would give me the right to claim I needed emergency with an injury so slight. Such was the state of so many others' plights. Still, I made it there and back in one piece, more or less, still hungry and excited for the Thanksgiving mess, for the turkey and gravy, for the cranberry sauce, for the casseroles and butter, for the sweet potato gloss. How my droolers did drool at the thought of such victuals. Pulling into the drive, I had to wipe away spittle. But once inside, I was given yet another grave wound, for the turkey'd been carved, the gravy'd been spooned. They had started without me, those mangy wet boots. They were in on the plan, they were all in cahoots. Who does that, I ask you? Who does that, I say? Who eats Thanksgiving dinner in the middle of the day? As though my feet weren't enough, I had lopped off my finger and suffered starvation while they made me linger, only to feast in my absence, you see. What snives, what mongrels, oh woe is me. I did what I could to make the most of the meal, to salvage that lousy, rotten, no-good, terrible deal. And I must say, the turkey and the cranberry jam truly and perfectly allowed me to cram so much delicious into such a small bite that I filled my first plate to a dangerous height. I'm famished, I declared, hefting fork, spoon, and knife, ready to eat for most of the rest of my life, not prepared in the least for the next moment's strife. After several large bites, something clearly was amiss. My stomach, reputedly a bottomless abyss, was filling. It was filling? But how could that be? I'd only just begun 4 bites, maybe 3. Even so, there was no debating the fact. I was filling up fast. My hunger had cracked, try though I did to cram every last crumb into every last crevice till my mouth just went numb. I wish I could say I enjoyed that grand meal, but the eating felt more like a chore than for real. Still, the day was not lost, for just at that moment the TV did alight and our relocation foment. After all, there was still the one distant hope that the Lions might win, a sure cure for my mope. Courteous of my cousins giving me the big chair, though after all that I'd been through it certainly was fair. I settled it back, even tossed out a blanket, and smiled in comfort to watch the kicker crank it. Hours later, I awoke to the sound of jubilation. Slowly grasping the scene with dread realization, they had won, they had done it, the Lions brought it home, and I had missed it all, sleeping stiff as a gnome. Drat that turkey and its enzymes, drat that early morning race. I was ruined, I was trashed, I was lousy and disgraced. Why did I make that choice? Why did I have the rocks to think I could run 5K safely in my Crocs? Hearken to my message here, learn from my mistake. If find you thus Thanksgiving morn, the race you must forsake. And when you're told to stay out the way, find something to do. And if the Lions win again, don't blink or you'll miss it too. But most of all, when at your aunt's, leave before the end. Or at least before she comes back round with turkey sandwiches again. Well, there's a very good chance that I had a whole lot more fun thinking that up and doing that than you did listening to it. But in the event that you got an impression that we feel anything negative about today, or certainly the events that tend to surround how you or others may celebrate the day, I would just love to say that is not in the least bit true. It's just fun to be dramatic sometimes with these kinds of things. So, appreciate anyone who's listening, whatever the timing is on that. And just know from A to Z Running, for myself and Andy, that we appreciate you all, and that certainly is something that we never want to stop expressing. But if today is a day of Thanksgiving, let us be sure to give thanks for you as well as the many, many other things that have been so exciting and great for us in so many different ways, and running's been a part of a lot of that. So we're grateful for that, and certainly in recent times as well as past, and hopefully in the future, to just continue to enjoy our sport and the community that surrounds it. So thanks. Hope you enjoyed that little narrative, and you can trust that we'll be back on our regular programming soon.
Well, if you liked this odd style of podcast for today, let us know. If you didn't like us, let us know that too, because
so that we avoid ever doing something like that again.
Absolutely. Next week, we'll have Kyle Cutler joining us. He is a race director, giving us the inside scoop on race day.
A lot of great practical tips, ideas, reminders for all of us who love to do the race experience, so don't miss that one. And until then, enjoy the holidays.